Can a superintendent be fired? In this video, I'm going to say yes. It very rarely happens, but if you're going to be fired, I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen. So if you want to know the key steps, what to look out for, and if you're thinking that you need to fire a superintendent, I'll give you some things to consider. So I hope you're ready to stay with us on this very interesting video. Let's go. Okay, so let me say this. You'll see a couple different things here, all right? One of the main things you'll see in the industry today are job hoppers. That means a superintendent that talks a big game, comes to the project site, absolutely knows nothing, doesn't even know how to read drawings, just thinks that the role of a superintendent is just pointing and yelling at people and telling them to go figure it out themselves. Typically, they'll last about 3 to 4 months, leave, update, and lie on their resume, and then go look for another company with a signing bonus and a really nice salary package. These are people that earn their money by signing on to jobs but never actually performing. You're going to see that a whole lot nowadays. I don't really consider that superintendent being fired. These are more of the non-starters. The other thing I will say that I see that I say, is that I am seeing superintendents get let go when they are not adjusting and adapting to the new ways of doing things, to lean methodologies, to updating their work practices, to getting on board with company culture, and learning and developing, right? Like I already said. And I do want to say, this might sound harsh, but they should be fired. If you have a superintendent that won't change, adjust, and adapt, they should be let go. The other thing that I'll say is we don't let go of superintendents enough because we have so many young project managers. We can make project managers faster than we can supers. Very few people want to become superintendents because of the physical labor. People would rather be in offices. That we think that we're handcuffed, that we are in a spot where we have to keep high-performing a-holes even though they are destructive to the team. So I do want to tell you, typically superintendents don't get fired if they're decently good or even okay or only moderately bad. Most superintendents can keep their job because we need superintendents. I do think that should change. I think that we're living in scarcity. If you would let these people go, they would get the message, they would get better, and it would create a vacuum, and we would provide together or develop solutions that would actually fix the problem. So the bottom line is a superintendent can be fired. They typically aren't. They should be fired if they're not willing to change, grow, adapt, and learn and team, or if they keep, like, here are some things just so you know. For me, superintendent's automatically fired. Superintendent will not hold the line for cleanliness or safety or organization, automatically fired, in my opinion. Superintendent is disrespectful to people, automatically fired. Superintendent keeps the plan in his or her head. I would automatically fire that superintendent. That is so destructive. Superintendent is unwilling to implement lean, learn, and grow. They're automatically fired. These are things I will not tolerate. But I'm about to give you a list. Once you like and subscribe, I'll give you the list. Okay? I'm going to give you a list of things that could get you close or could get a person close to getting fired as a superintendent. Performance issues, number one. Now, this is kind of a touchy one because, like I said, even if you're only moderately bad, you can typically keep your job because companies feel like they're being held hostage by the superintendent position because we don't have enough of them in the industry. Performance issues, this should be exactly the case. It's not always, but let me just say this. If there's a failure to perform, a failure to work in the team, a failure to implement the last planner system, a failure to finish the job on time, on budget, with good quality, with good safety, with everybody making money, then that could head you in a direction where your performance speaks for itself and you could be let go. Number two, misconduct. And this is a big one. And I will say, sadly, I have seen superintendents be kept and sympathy voted and protected because, again, the company thinks they need them. But if these things happen, it should automatically lead to consequences. What I'm talking about here is anything that goes against company policies, ethics, or laws should be grounds for a demotion or a suspension or being terminated. Now, here are some things that I have actually seen. I didn't tolerate it, by the way. I've actually seen that companies were either wanting to or were about to ignore that we can't ignore. Harassment of any kind, theft, not going to cut it. Dishonesty, that's not going to cut it. Somebody should be let go. Drug and alcohol abuse on site or where it affects their work on site. And any other unethical behavior like racism, discrimination, sexual harassment, misogynistic behaviors, the diminishing of women, all of these things should be grounds for termination. In the best case, you're going to be suspended. There has to be consequences for these things, so stay away from it. What I don't like is one time I saw a general superintendent and he was sexually harassing a woman, and we were like, hey, stop, we need to stop this, and told the company, and that it was fixed in the moment. And it just so happens that we didn't see eye to eye on that. I left, and they ended up sympathy voting him, putting him back into his position, and just tolerating the behavior. This cannot happen. Don't ever do it. If a superintendent does that, they're gone. Afuera. 3, attendance problems. If a company is going to tolerate your bad habits, they will only tolerate your bad habits if you're at work. If you are skipping being on the job site on time or skipping days, or you have bad attendance, there is zero chance a company is going to put up with that, and that will lead to termination. Number 4, insubordination and inability to follow orders, to partner with the team, or to get along with other people. This is probably the most common thing that I see ending up in termination, is just outright disrespect, disobedience, and having conflict that you can't get over because the superintendent is not being a leader. Number 5, when a company is downsizing, I have definitely seen that happen where, and let me tell you this is definitely my perspective, but I've never seen somebody that was worth their weight, or that's probably not a good way to say it, that was worth their paycheck get fired even in downsizing times. Meaning you're not going to get laid off by a construction company in a bad economy or in a recession or a depression. Maybe the Great Depression. But the bottom line is I've been through multiple cycles of recessions, and I always see the bottom 5 to 10% of people being let go. So you don't really have to worry about the downsizing unless you're in the bottom 5 to 10%. And I want you to know that if you get let go in a recession or in a depression, in a bad economic state, or because the company's not doing well, then that means that you're in the bottom 5 to 15% of your peers. 6, a lack of skills or qualifications. Obviously, if you start crash landing projects, hurting people, tanking the budget, it's not going to go very far. I remember an example in Southern California where a massive construction company finally fired their best builder when it came to self-performance. He always had the most beautiful walls, beautiful exposed board form walls, beautiful, like I said, exposed concrete structures, whether it was beams or decks or undersides of slabs or columns. He knew how to do it from a quality standpoint. And he would lose money, self-perform, lose money, and they're like, but he's the best. And finally one day I was like, where's home dude? And they're like, the vice president of the company fired him, said they're tired of him not meeting budget. He did not have the skills to pull it in on time, even though he was valuable. So if you want to piss somebody off, don't have the skills to finish on time, don't have the skills to stay under budget. That could lead to your termination. Number 7, and this is a big one, if you're not a cultural fit. Now, this is one where I think we should be stricter in evaluating. If somebody's not a cultural fit, meaning that you can't be a plus minus for the core values of the company. If you're not a cultural fit, if you don't align with the core values, if you're not fitting with the team, if you're heading in a different direction, that could be a cause for your termination. And then lastly, any violation of company policies, any violation of legal requirements, anything that would be a conflict of interest, these could end you up being fired really, really fast. The other thing is an owner asking for you to be removed. That's a bad one. So my message in this video is yes, a superintendent can be fired. These are the reasons a superintendent would be or could be fired. I do think we need to get stricter about this. I would never ever allow a superintendent to not be proficient, to not be able to work with the team, and to not be able to leverage the trade partners for good and come up with this overall win-win scenario, right? So any of these things could lead to termination. Hopefully this helps you to know whether or not a superintendent can be fired and helps you to make a decision or a course correction. In the description below, I'm going to link you to a blog post that talks all about this and the reasons for it that you can use as a take-home to help you on your journey with this. At the end of the day, I hope this works for you and whoever we're talking about, and that you've enjoyed the video. On we go.